So we don't have much time to look through these images that we brought.
What time now?
It is 4:50, and we will start the last film in about 10 minutes, I think. So what I thought we would do, I wanted to, first thing that comes to mind when I look at all of these things is a question, which is, well, I'm struck by this ability you have to be both empathetic towards people and also very critical and very satirical at the same time. And I think that you were doing that even with your caricatures. So I wanted to show some of these caricatures, but my question is, how do you develop that sensibility of being both harsh and sweet towards the world?
It's the same like with food. You know, you're eating some of this salty stuff, and then you need dessert.
Okay.
So combination, I think it's okay. I can't say that it's easy, but to make funny film or to make sad film, I think especially sad film, it's quite easy to make. Just funny film, it's easier to make. But to make combination that people watching, they laughing, and then they just understanding that, oh my God, what about I laughing? So yes. That have this like double layers. And how it's coming, I think it's constructing. Mm-hmm. Probably biggest lack in all filmmaking, not just animation, is lack of good stories. So, how to make good story? And working with students, you can see that it's easy to start with story. If you now will say that you can give me 2 characters or 3 and start the story, I can tell you immediately it's quite exciting, there are tension, so on, until some point when you have to, if it's short film, you have to finish this film. Then you suddenly can see that you're having like the storylines going in different directions. Now you have to put them together. Yes. And this is complicated. So, and of course it's connected to length of film. Last film, but we're going to watch all film, it's called Divers Pilots on the Way Home. It's 16 minutes. And story for this film. I saw one of my pictures, graphic art, with 3 pilots, and immediately I understood what is this story. Of course, then to work out small details and how it's actually what people can see on this film. It's taking time, but short film, it could happen, this storyline, very shortly. This film, the last film, Life Without Gabriella, Ferri, it's 44 minutes. And I, and also my wife Olga, we worked on this film almost 10 months on script. Because there are so many parallel stories. And it's kind of strangeness of brains or what. So you're having this, let's say, one parallel story, another, and you have to find connections between them. And it seems that it's impossible. And then, after 2 weeks, you go jogging, running, and suddenly it's there. And it's so obvious, it's so simple. Mm-hmm. But it needs this time to boil in head to come, or more simple stuff. If my background, I started like cartoonist, caricaturist, one frame pictures. So, and you need to, it's the same like to create some joke, you know. If I will tell you, please make good joke, how much time you need for this? 15 minutes or 2 hours or 2 days? You know, it's impossible to say. Maybe it's coming very, very quickly. But one technique is that you like really attacking this problem and thinking about this 1 hour, maybe 2 hours, and then just let it be, and you're waking up in the morning and it's there. You find it.
Okay, yeah. So I have one last question, and then I think we should actually move to the video, the final film. And there'll be more time for questions and answer after. So we'll do more talking. But the second question that I thought of just in relationship to what you were talking about is, your films have an absurd sense of humor sometimes, and
always.
Always.
I cannot make things without humor.
Okay.
It could be different, open, funny stuff, people laughing, or it could be hidden, like irony. And what I think what is very important for a filmmaker to have self-irony.
Yes.
Okay, maybe it's not right to say to all filmmakers, because if we taking, for example, Tarkovsky, you know, he is absolutely serious person. You know, it's still good films, but it's my way.
You need to make fun of yourself and the world.
I think it's maybe, you know, if I'm not for myself very important person. So I'm not sure that what I'm doing is right. I never try to teach or moralize with my films. Just telling stories, and it's mainly so that I don't know, it's right is this or right is this. But to be for spectators nice to watch, there have to be tension, so that you want to see what's happening next 5 seconds, what's happening next minute, and so on.
Right. So my question, that's, by the way, that's what I'm teaching every time, is this idea of tension and how to keep the audience in that tension rather than for them to be bored. And the rules for that change, of course, you know, depending on what genre the film is. And my question is sort of, you know, how do you do that when these things that are happening on screen are so absurd? How do you create that tension? It's easy to create tension when there's when it's a traditional love story, but when it's a fish being sliced open and there's a kid hitting his head over and over again in the background, do you have any tricks? Do you have any tips, or do you have any wisdom about that? How to hold the audience in that tension?
No, I think there are quite many different techniques and tricks how to do this. But in this case, what's happening actually? If people are going to watch this film and they know that it's 44 minutes, and then it's slow, and they just touching each other. Yeah. And now, of course, in a certain moment, you started to think that, oh my God, it's going to be like 44 minutes like this. Yeah. And then, when suddenly there are hen, we don't see this, but he work, and sound of hen. So it's kind of like promising that maybe there will be something else. Yes. And then, step by step, appearing this boy, and he hitting his head we don't know why he doing this. Then it's coming out that he want to be close to this room because in his trousers he had laptop stolen for father. he want to with his laptop to go to some porno site, you know, to be alone. So it's order how you're telling things. Simple examples, you know, if I am sitting here and then camera showing that Jacob with gun on his hand coming in and shooting me, there are no tension. If it's so that camera showing my face and there are sound of door and how my face is changing, then just then camera showing that there are smiling Jacob, but what he keeping his hand behind him. So it's like such kind of things, but it's, let's say, it's professionality, but coming through making films. And a few words about caricature. Caricature is actually cartoon. This is what examples Jacob show you. It's every such kind drawing is very short drawing animation, just so short that just one frame is there, and it's very well edited because your eye moving on this surface of this picture until finding what is the point. Mm-hmm. And then you don't need to watch this. So the joke coming in the end always. And now about a person who working with such kind of stuff. It's mean I have to find something what is strange, funny, even poetic. Then I have to find this form, how I presenting this. This person looking to the left or right. What is this? What is this? So it's the same like working with film. Just timelines are different. So creating idea, it could be longer than the time when I drawing this. It depends from drawing techniques. In animation, it's opposite. Like students, if they are working, studying 3 years, they're making maybe 2 films or 3 films during this period. It means they getting professionals by using their hand, by using all tools and computers, etc. But like brain workers, they are still beginners because just 2 ideas go through of their head this time. So in my school, I having special 1 semester of caricature. They drawing caricatures.
Yeah. Quick ideas is the moral. The ability to practice as much as possible through quick generating things quickly or on one sheet.
This technique, how to think, it's but it's longer theme, not in 2 minutes.
So we're going to show one more film all the way through on the big screen. And then we'll be back for question and answer.
A few words just before.
Yeah.
Actually, we plan to talk all these pieces of films have been selected to show not what about this film are, but about visual side of these films. All they are quite different. And I working, there are a lot of filmmakers who their films look like the same. I don't say what is better, what is worse. My style is that story is dominative, and every story needs special style. And this last film, it's sand animation. We made this together with my wife, and it's first film that I animated. Always, I work with studio, with animators. So all visual is made by us too, and we invented totally new technique. First, we tried to use classical sand animation technique, but because there are a lot of small details, and we came to this that there have to be also line. And we tried to make this line and rough sand in the same layer. It's on the glass, but glass on the camera. It doesn't work. We haven't been satisfied with the result. And so finally we came to this that all the line is sand. So I draw with pen or even with brush sometimes into very thin layer of sand, very fine sand, and light from bottom. So result was light line on dark surface, and then we turn this into negative, and we got line that was very, how to say, juicy, like very. If you know what is dry point graphic technique, it's quite similar to this. So, and I did this using dragon frame. First I animated on paper, the dragon frame, then I made this line on sand, and then Olga, now using my line in dragon frame, she did lightness, darkness, shadows with rough sand on glass, and then we put this together in computer.
Yeah, and you'll see it's quite striking and unique. There's not another animation out there like it. So we'll be back in 16 minutes. See you then.
What's the name of the film that was just played?
What was the name of the film that was just played?
Pilots on the Way Home.
Okay. We've got people ready. Go for it.
So you talked about how with that last film, you kind of developed a whole new technique in regards to the sand animation and your compositing along with your wife. When you're making a new film, how often do you consider the process in tandem with the story? Like, when you set out to make something, do you consider the story separate and then let the process follow? Or do you sometimes synthesize the two with either a look or a feeling you're going for specifically in the medium?
Mainly it's so that first coming story. When story is more or less fixed or even it's quite open, I started already to draw. Drawing storyboard and also in this working size, looking for how these characters look like. Sometimes it's very long way, like with Gabriella, what we saw before that. There are this boy on skateboard. I had maybe 50 different versions, but this final image, we never now when we working with Olga or before when I work with studio and I had painter who made colors for film. It was kind of direction, that, and you did something and. You can see that it's not this, but the road goes all the time more and more narrow. And in a certain moment, when you're understanding, it is this. And story, For example, if to think about this last film, if it would be the image, not just characters, but all this world, visual world, let's say like very cartoony line drawing with some bright colors. Story exactly the same, but I think feeling of film, it kind of banal joke. Now this combination, it's again like combine funny and sad. This like very highly polished technique. Every frame is like you can print it out and put on the wall. So it's giving some kind of seriousness to this film. So and sometimes it's coming more easily, sometimes it's long way. And here, because we want to make especially sand, because biggest problem was actually, I said that if I drawing on this glass and light from bottom, I said that light line on dark surface, and the turning it's in negative, it's black line on white surface. Actually, it's not true, because this layer have to be so thin to draw there. If you're putting half a centimeter now and trying to draw there, its background is black, but the line, sun will kill this line immediately. So result was gray, white line on gray surface. If you're turning this to negative, background is still gray. So and this took us the most time we spent to work out how to kill this gray background and to get bright black line on white surface.
Thank you.
But sometimes it could be so that if you're finding some very special technique, you have to build up story for this technique, not opposite.
Right. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So yeah, while the next person is, can you hear me? No?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, how's it going?
Go for it.
Absolutely really like that last film. And I really like it when whole groups of people are put way out of their comfort zone, and basically you watch porn for like 15 minutes, right?
He's saying he likes it when you put people way out of your comfort zone and basically make us watch pornography.
Yeah, and society has to face what they pretend that they don't do. Now, is this a tension trick, or what role does sex play in your films? Because I see a lot of it.
I think if it would be like all the same, but it's it's so easy to make that it's hidden. It's out of frame or too dark. Again, I think this is like salt and pepper for this film. It's our opinion, and yeah, it's not about. I just remind that we made this sound in Canada. NFB, 3 weeks, and we have been working in this studio 3 weeks, making sound, and our son was less than 3 years old, so we have to work so that he never saw this film. He was very curious, always to put his under the seat or somewhere, or say that, look, outside is something. Now he is 7, but still have not seen this film. But you find it disturbing?
No, not disturbing. Real.
Real.
Sincere.
Sincere, okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I'll give it to the next person. Thank you.
Welcome to DePaul. Last year we've been studying your work, and I tend to reference your work a lot. And as far as the one Le Petit Déjeuner sur l'herbe, the Breakfast on the Grass, and I like the fact that you brought all these characters together, and you show them, you show that you have to go through all this political bureaucratic system just to basically get this permit to enjoy the fresh air. So the question is, now with how you can say the state of the world is like Europe, do you have any film or any subject that you like to tackle? Because that film I felt like is really crucial or iconic.
So, Breakfast on the Grass deals with, the politics, the relationship.
Yeah, two sides of Europe. It's made 1992. It was exactly when the border is disappeared. Yeah.
And so, right now, is there a similar topic that you can think of in 2019 that is as potent for you as that was?
If somebody would tell me in 92 that 30 years later the situation will be quite the same, I would never believe this. But it doesn't change too much.
So we're still in 1992. Unfortunately.
Hello. Thank you for showing your work. I guess my question kind of relates to one of Jacob's previous observations about tension. I feel like a signature in a lot of your individual works, less so in the last film we just saw, is a lot of cacophony and a lot of chaos in movement and camera and sound that's overwhelming, and the line work and constant uncertainty. It's very apparent in a lot of your filmmaking. And I was just curious what your personal relationship was with translating cacophony and chaos in your film, and like within yourself. Like, what does that mean to you in your work?
Cacophony, like the chaos, the all of the things that happen so fast. Stimulation, yeah.
I am not absolutely agree. If you're thinking beginning of this Gabriella, it's,
slow.
It's very slow. Then from Hotel, there was this piece from, let's say, this gray part, when we really tried to build up total chaos. It's kind of dangerous, nervous.
Yes.
And during the film, this step by step, it's
less and less.
Frozen. Finally, it's very static. At the same time, this colorful world, especially we shooted actors. There are no one rotoscope, kind of rotoscope. Nobody taking like this. It's always
slow.
So people enjoying their movements. So I think everything what you're putting in your film, everything have to serve this main idea of film, or have to work for film. If it's you need to disturb audience, then you have to create what will be disturbing or opposite. You want audience to feel that it's boring, and then coming big bang. The bang is then much more bigger than if it's not so boring.
So contrast. You have to have yin and yang in order for the chaos to exist. You have to also, as an artist, make these slow moments, the moments that are still, so that those feel more intense.
Adding texture to the film, in a sense. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So yeah, that's it. So we are ready to wrap up the show. Wait, not the entire. We still have obviously more for the conference, but me and Pritt are done discussing. And thank you very much, Pritt. I wish we had more time.